Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. On this Sending Explain, we'll be doing a really trippy movie for you that just came out this year, January. Yes, we start things off. It's not the first one that came out, but it's a movie called There's Something Wrong with the Kids. And going in, I had so many high expectations of the movie, and I was really let down on some places. Some places it really felt flat, and there was so much potential for this movie to go, like I don't know. It could have went to other directions, but hey, I didn't write it. But I really enjoyed some of it. So without wasting any time, let's get right to it. There is something wrong with the kids, and I think there's something wrong with this movie.
Right off the bat, we meet this really awesome cabin with like really rock and roll music, and then it zooms in and we see a family of like two couples and two kids. It's Ellie, Margaret, Ben, and Thomas. And then Ellie and Thomas have the two kids, and Margaret and Ben are just they're not having kids, and they're drinking. Things are awkward. We can tell that the married couple that has kids, something is awkward. And then we go to the title card as soon as the parents leave with their children. And then the next morning, they are going on a hike, and the little girl is telling them about these cards and what it does and everything like that. And they go on a hike a trail and they find this little dungeon place that looks really dingy, somewhere where somebody would do heroin. But then they see a pit, like a bottomless pit, and then they just try to tell the kids never to come here, don't come in this pit. Yeah. And then, the children are drawn to it, and immediately the children start breathing through their noses. And yeah, they have a discussion about, their problems, especially with Ellie and Thomas. They have a bit much more problems because their problems are almost like visible than, Margaret and Ben's problems. And they sit and talk about it, and Thomas, actually says, having kids is not so bad, Ben, you can try it. And the kids are still mesmerized by that place, and then they decide, what, let's free the couple, we'll take the kids tonight. And they take the kids, and Margaret and Ben offer to watch the kids, and they play a game with the kids. And as soon as the kids fall asleep, they headed outside. They're gonna just chill and like have a beer, and then they have a discussion about having children. But Ben seems not to be ready to have kids, and Margaret is actually considering having kids. And Ben is making it sound like it's all on her. And in the morning, they discover the kids are gone. They're frantic. They're searching everywhere, looking for the kids, and they cannot find. And then Ben hikes the trail and goes back to that dingy dungeon heroin place, and then finds their bodies at the bottom of the pit, and he is distraught. But thing is, when he gets back and receives a call for Margaret says, hey, they're here, and Ben is overlooking, seeing that the kids are here. But it's weird because he saw them at the dungeon, and the kids are just happy playing. Everything is normal, or is it? And Ben is questioning himself in the mirror, and we know now that Ben has had mental health issues. So right off the bat, the kids are gaslighting him. He's asking questions. Did you go anywhere in the morning? And they just whisper in sort of this insect like tone, and they kind of play with him. They laugh about it, and Ben actually confronts his wife and says, I saw them dead at the pit. And they continue gaslighting him, like making him think that his dad is gonna be poisoned, Thomas is gonna be poisoned. And it's like now they have this confrontation. He actually admits that they didn't know where their kids were, and now they have this huge confrontation, and everybody is just pulling insults on everybody. And back at the catnet, there's an incident that happens, and Ben actually accidentally kills the boy. And Ellie is also like upset and distraught, and now this is driving a wedge between them. And then Ben insists on taking her back to the dingy heroin dungeon place, and they look for the bodies, and the bodies are not there. And then later on, the girl takes the father out for a walk, and, believing that the boy has died. So now, as she's searching, she finds Ellie's body, and Ellie is choking up blood and everything, because Ellie was left to guard the boy's corpse. But then we discover that the boy isn't actually dead. Ellie is now, covered in scars and in blood, and here's the boy alive and well, and his eyes starts to glow. So now Margaret knows that something is wrong with this boy, and he tries to run away. You know how it is. You lock yourselves more in a situation. You know how it is in these movies. But she actually manages to get out. But as she's getting out, she can see a shadow of that little girl, and it's like an insect. But now when she walks in, it's the little girl. So it's almost like they shape shifted into this insect, or their bodies were taken over by this insect. The cops come, and the cop lady is trying to calm her down. She makes a mistake of getting inside the house, gets pulled into the house and obviously killed. And she tries to get under the car, tries to escape with the car and the kids that they come here. And eventually she gets hold of her husband, Ben. But Ben seems different. Ben says, I understand why they were drawn to that place. Me and you can live. I found a connection that is deeper, that you've always been yearning for. And now he's changing his tune, like, oh, now we can have kids. Now I can give you all the things that, you want. Now we know he's also being transformed into this insect thing. And yeah, and they talk, and then she stabs him and leaves him to bleed out in the couch. And as soon as she walks out of that house, they trap her, and she falls into a trap. She falls down. They look onto her, and of course now she's been taken. She is dragged through the woods, like she is dragged until morning, guys. And then upon arriving there, she can see that these things are pushing people down into this pit, and then she pushes them down, the insect kids down. I don't know what good will that do, into the pit, walks out and sees her husband. And Thomas actually survived this and attacks her husband and tells her to go, run. And she gets in the car, and she's driving off. She meets them in the middle of the road, and then they exchange eye contact. And in exchanging eye contact, she makes a conscious decision to actually run them over. And that's how the movie ends.
That was my ending explained. It could have went so many different directions. They could have involved more people. Insects, really? But it was really cool when they spoke insect right in front of that guy. But really, insects, it's like, oh, unlike changelings, you don't see their real, their true form, you see their true form in the mirror. And with these ones, you see them in the shadow. That's all it takes, a shadow. And I mean, honestly, why did he play dead? Like, there's so many questions, and I felt like, yes, it could have taken a really different route. But yes, that was my ending explained of There's Something Wrong with the Kids. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Next time on Room for Rewinds.
Jesus is Lord. I cannot believe they did a Winnie the Pooh slasher.